Are you the hobbyist? Are you the weekend warrior? Or are you that full-time musician?
Musician can fall in this spectrum, in particular this subject matter, one of three places.
Maybe where you are isn't where you want to be.
It's 2J, Top Banana.
And once you identify that, which one are you aiming for?
Hey, welcome to the Musician's Blueprint. The journey starts now, episode 1, our dive into examining the topic of life of a musician. Glad to be with you. Greetings from the musician's architect right there, 2J, and me, LT, a pusher across North Carolina of local music. We are sponsored by, right there, HOTC, help me, that stands for?
Heart of the City Studios, right here in the beautiful Greensboro, North Carolina.
So here we are, episode 1. We have been excited in our planning for this. So episode 2, probably better than episode 1, but here we go. We're excited about it. So episode 1 ought to be a small background of us. I'm LT. I run ncbandsandclubs.com. 15 years ago. Yep, been doing it 15 years. And but it started, I was in a bar enjoying a local band, and there seemed to me to be more room on the dance floor and a few tables that were empty. 15 years ago, having my cell phone in hand, I said, hey, I think I can help this situation. I've got my cell phone pictures, videos, and I was willing to take them. So here it goes. And 15 years later, we're doing the same thing, but I've got 28,000, I think, across North Carolina as followers, and we're answering the question, where can I hear great local music today, tomorrow, this weekend? So that's me, concisely, and a volunteer team doing that. We'll talk about that later, but appreciate it. Tell us about the musician's architect, yourself, a little bit.
So I am a musician. I've been gigging for better half of 20 years or so. I've got a background in music education. I also used to perform with the U.S. Army military band as well. And so I've got a wide range of experiences that I've been going through. And as I was going through these experiences, I made different observations about the musicians that I encountered with. And so I realized that we need more structure to what we're doing if we want to be able to continue to do it. I've watched many musicians and creatives get out there and have a love and a passion for what we do, but they don't know how to keep the resources flowing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, everything that we do as musicians requires some structure, which also requires resources, which is time and money. And a lot of us sometimes struggle with organizing both of those worlds, not just the creative, passionate part, but also the ability to be able to structure finances, to structure time, to structure your energy so that you can keep doing this craft, so that we can continue to be the musicians that we are. So I'm here excited to be talking with LT. We're going to get a little deep dive and hopefully bring some value to you all, give you some ideas and nuggets to think on, reflect upon, and plan to give you some value.
Well, I think we're getting close to a good starting point, and back at you, Top Banana. Yep, to pitch the screen, whatever it takes.
I was about to say top Banana. I'm gonna get that the whole time we got in the car, and he's
got the banana shirt. So enjoy that. Took a little video training. Never learned to wear bananas, but I get it. We're in the creative space, so glad to have you here as Top Banana. Jordan, 2J. Let's start there. A musician reaches out to you. You are out there in the world of space, internet, etc. JordanCJones.com. A musician reaches out to you. They want help. They want your help. What might that starting point look like per that conversation, or just starting out with a musician and you're trying to help?
Well, thanks. I think that hitting on what you said about the conversation piece, that is where we would start, is having a great conversation about what your why is. What has motivated you to want to get into music? The thing that I've found, that I've observed in my experiences, even with myself, with every musician, everybody's a creative. Everybody who has delved into being into musician, you actually have a very creative and passionate side about you. And there's a reason for that. Whether you are consciously aware of what that reason is, or maybe you need to do some digging and ask yourself a couple of why questions. But ultimately, we got to break it down to what I call the foundation. If you're building a house and you're trying to build a house that can sustain and stand alone, you first need a strong foundation, which is
Yes.
how far down are you digging into the ground and what kind of soil are you building on top of? And that really is what fuels the rest of the conversation about what are we actually structuring for this artist so that they can continue doing their craft.
And we're talking about a number of things you mentioned, but intent, passion, skill level, maybe type of venues, maybe that they're playing, all that. It's such a big arena, right? And it really looks like a spectrum, doesn't it?
Yeah,
A lot of
that's
these
the word,
topics.
spectrum. It's a wide. Uh, Everybody has a wide range of experiences. Everyone has a wide range of where they are in those experiences, and I think sometimes we can get stuck into a specific lane. And thinking of it as a spectrum gives us that room to like, okay, I may be here on the spectrum, and maybe I'm trying to get there, or maybe at different times you're on different parts of that spectrum.
Well, in the promo for this, I've been sharing it on some of my social media, ncbandsandclubs.com, or social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, plug. But we've really been talking about a musician can fall in this spectrum, in particular, this subject matter, one of three places in terms of their passion, their level, or where they are. JJ, as we've discussed it, 2J, top banana. As we, but help me. Those three places that a spectrum probably in their entire life as a musician, they will be one of those three places. What are they?
Yeah, likely you fit into one of these categories already.
Categories, yes.
They're which are on that spectrum, which is the hobbyist. You're kind of that person who I don't really care if I get paid, but I'm really here for the love of the craft, and I think that this is often the person that your skill level can be at any level as the hobbyist. You may actually have professional level skill, but maybe you don't care about being a professional with this craft. But there's the hobbyist. Then they fit into the weekend warrior. That's where you work a couple of other jobs, but this also provides you some income on the weekends. You're out there trying to hit the gigs. You're trying to get booked. And you may not be fully into entrepreneurship, but you are at least doing it on the weekends. But maybe working a full-time job or working other part-time jobs during the week. And then there's the full-time artist and musician who all the way in, going balls to the wall. We are Monday through Friday, Sunday to Saturday. I'm trying to be booked. I'm promoting, I'm recording, I'm creating. You're making majority of your living doing your creative craft. And that is one spectrum with it all in itself, which we'll dive into more deeply. But just as LT said, the first three areas you might find yourself in is, are you the hobbyist? Are you the weekend warrior? Or are you that full-time musician? And once you identify that, which one are you aiming for? Maybe where you are isn't where you want to be. Maybe you're aiming for one of those other areas.
All right, well, let's take a little bit of a dive into each of those categories, positions, and we'll start over to the left in the spectrum, I believe, is the hobbyist, music as a hobby. Again, we've talked, our friendship grows. It's just such a shocker here. He's actually my neighbor. He lives like 4 doors down, and we're putting it all together. But this is pretty neat. It had to be. We had to have a purpose here. So yeah. And but music as a hobby. I had a hobby as a playing music. I describe it as middle school. 2 years. I played the trumpet, evolved into the baritone. I can't remember. My music teacher says, I think you'll be better on the baritone. Maybe I had a lot of hot air. A lot of hot air, so there we went. But it was a 2-year stint. Just as a young person would try a sport and maybe it doesn't work out, but we're trying to find our passion, right? Mm-hmm. Parents are helping us, hopefully. But so there we are. I sold my trumpet for beer money in college. So the trumpet's gone. That was a little stint, but it was a hobby, one of my many hobbies. Well, I don't know that I had a lot of hobbies, so yes, we think of the hobbyist. I think you mentioned. They're doing it. Do they want to get paid? They could care less. They could care less about getting paid or not. Does every musician probably start there in their at a teen or whenever this passion comes along? 2J, woo, 2J, do you think every musician starts there?
I think that's a great question. I think it can happen at any age that you're getting interested into a new craft or getting into music itself. The hobbyist, to me, I think the biggest thing is that at the moment, you either aren't you haven't procured enough skill set to be considered a professional, or you just don't care about making it a career or a thing that makes money. So really, the hobbyist is still exploring music as a passion. Right. You're really still just trying to identify your why. You're really still trying to figure out what is pushing you, what experiences are feeding your music, what experiences you're taking away from your musical experiences. I think that hobbyist is still somewhat a little bit of a wanderer, a loner, but I think it's a great place to start, because once you start and get into the weeds of trying to structure income and trying to be professional and figure out network and some of those other things, if your passion, if you haven't figured out your real love for the music, that stuff can get complicated. So being that you're still just trying to figure out, where does this fit in my life? I think that is the hobbyist, and I think that's where most people start, and I think it's a great place to start.
And just think about it. I don't know a 30-year-old that has never played music in their life and just says, I'm going to be a full-time musician. I'm going to pick up a guitar. I mean, they might think they can do that, but whoo.
Starting at the hobby level is where, even if that is you might be somebody who's like, well, I just picked up a guitar last week. I'm 35 and I want to do this full time. But recognize that you may still be at the hobby level, even if you're deciding, right now I'm headed for wanting to be that full-time musician. Being in that hobby lane is a great place to explore, to grow, and to really understand your connection to your craft as a musician.
But it's a fundamental, a young person, a teenager. We've been in that arena. Gosh, you as a band director involved with marching bands, the high school years, the middle school years, they're exploring, but so many will find their passion for life, even in middle school or high school. Mm-hmm. And music will follow them along their whole life journey, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So that's really good. I also had a hobby collecting matches. Remember when you could matches? Do you remember matches? But sooner or later, I think I was 40, and I said, they gotta go. It was a phase, it was a hobby or so forth. I wish I had them back. Okay, well, that's a hobbyist. Weekend warrior musician. Can you help, or can you describe again the weekend warrior? The commitment level goes up, but take it from there, 2J, describing a little bit deeper into the weekend warrior. That's a big part. Mm-hmm. We're right here in North Carolina. We're in the triangle, the triad, coastal, and I'm impressed by the weekend warrior. We have a lot of talent in our backyard, and I think you are too. But it's a great topic, the weekend warrior.
Yeah. I think this is where most of our audience probably will find themselves, where they are right now, is that weekend warrior. And that you have a little more intent and skill set behind what you're doing. You have done enough of being in the hobbyist where you're like, okay, I understand I have a strong passion for this. And now you have also added some discipline. I really think that's what really takes you between that hobbyist and the weekend warrior, because if you've added that discipline level, your skill set has improved. You're also taking the things that surround your musicianship serious as well. So if you're getting gigs on the weekends, that means you're doing some type of networking. You're connecting with people that are doing the hiring. You're connecting with other musicians, maybe even collaborating. You're also promoting yourself, which is such a weird topic for us as musicians, that self-promotion can feel really icky. But if you are the weekend warrior, you're doing some type of self-promotion. You're putting yourself out there and getting things done. And then
it's a big area of discussion, promotion. Oftentimes a musician, a band, or whatever, it can fail at it or not do a very good job of it. And the best example is you go to a social media page for a musician or band, and it's extremely outdated. They're playing, but you don't see anything on there for maybe 6 months, a year, or whatever. But yes, promotion certainly part of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think the main thing that really, to identify whether or not you're in that weekend warrior position, is if you're working other jobs that are not in your creative lane. So if you're a musician, you're working in the music lane and you're working other jobs that don't also support that musicianship, but then whether it's weeknights that you're also doing the music that you love to do, balancing those two, that's where the weekend warrior really sits, where you have something that's not related to your passion and craft, but you've paired it with your passion and craft to kind of maintain a lifestyle, if you will. But the craft that you really want to do, the music is not quite carrying the full load of your lifestyle.
And I know we want to talk about, in our preparation, we certainly did. It could be an episode in itself, but Weekend Warrior, they're starting to make, and the people around them, loving them and around them, are starting to make sacrifices, right,
Yes.
TJ? They are making sacrifices. We can give a couple of those examples. I think about the home. There may be a bonus room that now becomes the musician's rehearsal space or studio or whatever they're doing as a weekend warrior. Or on Thursday night, a whole band is invading the house and the space. So girlfriend, significant other, wife, husband, they're having to accommodate and so forth. There may be more beer in the fridge or whatever, whatever the case may be. So sacrifices. And then you and I have spent a lot of time about the sacrifice of the loved ones, just in terms of relationships. Gosh, the weekend warrior, the biggest degree is they have a gig on Friday night. They have a gig on Saturday night. They might have a gig on Sunday afternoon. I've heard of that individual. They're all in it, 3-gig weekend. They're a little tired when it comes to Sunday night and Monday, and they're involved in a family or relationship. There start to be some sacrifices and strains. So it's a big topic. It's one that really oftentimes could get overlooked by a musician, and they don't go into it with discussion and talking and so forth. And sometimes it hits roadblocks and problems and so forth. You know, musicians have a greater divorce rate than even our national average that's too high. But yeah, it can be understood just in terms of that. Now in a closet, they now dedicated in their home not to one guitar, but hey, once there's 12. There's 12 guitars or 5, and guess what? He or she wants one more. Always want one more. So money, commitment, sacrifices there. It all makes sense. And it's a very, very interesting discussion as related to that. So that was the weekend warrior, right? Now your arena, you're helping everybody on the spectrum. Well, but certainly the weekend warrior and the full-time musician come about for your mission as the 2J, as the musician's architect. But let's talk about the full-time musician. It's not a stop position. It's not a full stop. Can you describe what we mean by that? It is what in itself.
Yeah, I mean, we hit on that word earlier about it being a spectrum, because the difference between the hobbyist and the weekend warrior is really around intent. Excuse me. But once you start getting into that full-time musician lane, you're really taking on a lot more of entrepreneurship, like stepping fully into being an entrepreneur, which is a whole nother set of skills, a whole nother level of learning and investing time and energy and sacrifices on those relationships, that if you aren't cognizant, aware of all those pieces, and you're aiming for that full-time musician position, and you're unaware of all of what comes with that, you can fall into a lot of pitfalls, a lot of things. We talked about the divorce rate. We talked about how sacrifices of the relationships that you have with the people that, if you're making it as a full-time musician, I have not met a full-time musician that doesn't have some type of team and support around them.
Right.
Whether that
takes a village, a team.
Yes.
But team Jordan, team LT, or by example. But yes, team, the name of the band, taking a lot of players in there. And gosh, you get to full-time musician. There are full-time musicians blessed at the local level, the regional level. Amen. Local level, regional level, and the national level. And gosh,
international.
Yes. And you've got to make those decisions or where your goals are. And so that could be where you're playing and how big or scope, but it also could be about what type of venues, bars are you playing in? Is it theaters? Is it stadiums? Is it fixed places only on the weekend, but that 2,000 people or whatever? But there's all kinds of venues, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's important. And so, yeah, that becomes a spectrum in itself. And again, we're sort of talking about three areas, positions, categories. And much of what we talk about in the future will be based on some of this great discussion in
Yeah.
episode one. Episode one. Also, I wrote down, or are they represented by a management company or label? That's a decision to be made. That could be made based on how great their skill is. But right, Jordan, and there's a lot of different management companies at different levels, regional and that, right?
That fits into that entrepreneurial lane. Once you decided and made the decision that you're going to be that full-time musician, it takes a lot more than just having the musical skill to be able to interact and connect with your audiences, because now your service is now a product. You have to think about who is buying your product. You have to think about who is your custom, target market. What venues are going to have the right target market that you're looking for? If you're a country artist, I wouldn't suggest trying to get booked at a hip hop venue. These are decisions that take place on that entrepreneurial side of things, and understanding what goes alongside with the craft of outside of just creating your music.
That's a good example, because some musicians today are still calling on the wrong venues or the wrong bars. I've been in 15 years. I'm a dancer. I shake it every once in a while. I shake it not very well, but we like to dance, and I've represented and promoted some big places with big dance floors. Yeah. But what a great discussion or education to a band. But we were talking about egos. They get on their own track. This is the music I'm playing, and this is what I enjoy, and I ain't playing anything else.
Yeah.
Now, that's one attitude, right? But we talk about filling a dance floor. And I could look at a set list and say, you don't have a lot of danceable songs, but yet you're calling on this place that lives and dies by money, by dollars, and being successful. You don't play that much dance music, so therefore it's we can educate you, but you might want to call on this bar or venue over here, more of a help me, more of a background or a setting, or just a jam session, right?
So I think this goes back to that first conversation you were asking me, if I get contacted by a musician, the conversation we're having about that why, because even that why carries into the discussion we were just having. Is if your lane is being the environment. Maybe you're kind of more of a jazz artist. Like, you are just there just to create the environment that people can, sip their drinks and have great conversation with. Maybe you're the party band and you're all about the live experience, but knowing that why, understanding what you're going after before you're contacting the venues, before you're promoting yourself, really understanding, okay, what am I really good at? What am I really trying to promote? And where am I trying to get to? Taking that time to reflect and ask yourself those questions can really inform how you're operating as that full-time musician. And so that if you're going into a lane, into a venue that these people make their money off of filling a dance floor, you don't want to be the artist that's like, well, I walk in the door and I just provide an environment where people can talk and enjoy background music. That may not be the right fit, but understanding and even having that conversation, communicating that value to a venue, takes a little bit more that is not the fun part, the music making.
Right.
There's so much more that can come along with getting into being in part of the music business that is not the parts that I myself as a musician really love doing. The playing the music, the getting picky about the chords, what tone on my guitar,
right.
How am I singing this vocal, what chants we're doing, how we're transitioning. That's all the creative and super, super fun. But if you're looking to be...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting a little bored. That's your space. I'm a promoter. I think I was starting to yawn. But no. Very, gosh, there's so much on the spectrum. And this is an exciting topic for us. We hope you see that. And your likes are appreciated, your shares. Everybody should be a share agent. You see anything about local music, be a share agent. Social media and so forth. I appreciate it. It means so much to the artists, the venues, the bars, and so forth. The community. That's right. We are a community. So basically, in recapping, we wrote it down, sort of defining it, full musician. They're making a level of income to support oneself and a desire to support someone else, a family. So there's a real full-time musician. They have goals, but they've reached to the point where that their success level is supporting themselves and a loved one, and maybe even a family, and that's important. Now, the truth is the level of income for a beginning full-time musician, or many on the spectrum of a full-time musician, is level of income starting out may halt, struggle some relationships, struggle your family, or guess what? When you're what do we call it? When you're scrolling these profiles, dating profiles, you might be looking for a certain income level to help out. I want my spouse to make a little bit more money than I am, right?
Yeah.
To pay bills and be supportive and loving each other and all that stuff. But that's true. That's true. A lot of a musician's house oftentimes can be built or is built on two incomes. Thank goodness the musician would be honest, and but again, they're looking to arrive and then make the millions of dollars and be well represented. But you figure out how many make the millions versus many that make maybe 40,000 a year or whatever the example might be on the spectrum. Hey, I'm looking at the watch. You had more confidence, 2J, but we're doing pretty good. I'm looking at the clock to wind out. We wanted to be in the 30-minute arena. So, but yes, we certainly want to appreciate you joining us, you being with us. Like it if you would, please, and share it to social media and continue to share. And our goal, we were talking about our goal, just got a vision for this getting out there and see how it goes. But once a month might be an initial goal. And we're in a studio right now, HOTC in Greensboro. We had the connection through 2J. Thank you to Jordan. And but we are upstairs, and it's a little warm up here. So, but we are cooling it down and so forth. But we appreciate it. All right. Again, my passion is found at ncbandsandclubs.com. All over social media. One example is Bands and Clubs of the Triangle, Facebook. Bands and Clubs of the Triad, NC, on Facebook. Examine those, learn more about me, both of us, but me at that website. I have a volunteer team. Hey, if you're going out and you're enjoying local music anyway, and many of you are, and you're willing to take pictures, you're having some drinks, you're having a great time, take some pictures, take some videos. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And there's a volunteer tab at the menu for the website, ncbandsandclubs.com. So examine that and send us a message. And glad to have you on our volunteer team across North Carolina, from the coast to Charlotte. And thank you for that vision, and thank you for me saying that. Hey, 2J, how did they learn more about you, or just plugging your media?
Absolutely. If you want to get in contact with me, my website is jordancjones.com. That's www.jordancjones.com. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok as well, under musicians_architect. If you look out for the Musicians Architect, you can find me on either one of those. And I just want to encourage everybody that's listening out there, figure out what lane you're in and where you want to be if you're not in the lane that you want to be. Are you the hobbyist? Are you the weekend warrior? Are you that full-time musician? And of course, always make sure you stop by hotcstudios.com.
Yes.
Thanks to our sponsors. Check out the website. They have all kinds of services for you if you're trying to record. As well, this is a community for artists, so they are much more involved into education and promotion of the artists that come through. So check us out. Hit me up on Instagram, TikTok, or by my website.
And I think they can have some interaction if they want to there, right? Social
Absolutely.
media or website. Maybe there's a forum or a contact or your contact information. Certainly the same for me on the website, ncbandsandclubs.com. So again, thank you, TJ, for our starting point, episode 1. Thank you. I guess I say see you till next time. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now listen, I like strawberries. Do you have a shirt with strawberries?